The European Union has suspended financial and security ties with Niger. Coup leader General Abdurrahman Chiani has taken control of the West African state by ousting the elected president. Niger has been a key partner for the EU in slowing the flow of migrants to Europe. There are also fears the takeover could allow Russia to expand its influence in the region.
The general behind the coup chairing a meeting with government officials. After ousting the elected president Mohamed Bazoum, Abdurrahman Chiani has declared himself Niger's new leader.
The action of the National Council for the Safeguarding of the Country is motivated by the sole desire to preserve our beloved homeland. On the one hand, in the face of the continuous deterioration of the security situation, and this without the authorities letting us glimpse a real solution to the crisis, poor economic and social government.
General Chiani said he would dissolve the constitution and warned against any foreign intervention. That's raising concerns in the capital, Niamey.
The international community that says it's here for us, we don't want it. We don't want its moral lesson, because it's no longer credible in the eyes of Africans.
I'm not happy with this coup d'etat, honestly, because President Bazoum started to work seriously for the country and the military came and spoiled that.
But others support the junta and are more optimistic about what could follow.
Today, we are in a state of insecurity. Frankly, I don't condemn the military for their actions, and they have a vested interest in fighting terrorism.
The coup triggered a wave of unrest in Niamey. Crowds set fire to cars and buildings outside Bazoum's party headquarters. Meanwhile, there's been growing international condemnation from world leaders including the United Nations and the African Union. The European Union has suspended financial and security ties with Niger. And the US Secretary of State has called for the release of ousted Bazoum and a restoration of democratic order.
Let me be very, very clear about this, as I have been in my phone conversations. Our economic and security partnership with Niger, which is significant, hundreds of millions of dollars, depends on the continuation of the democratic governance and constitutional order that has been disrupted by the actions in the last few days.
Niger has seen several military coups and faced years of political and economic instability. An ally of Western nations, it has played a role in fighting armed actors in the Sahel, including Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. While Niger has a new leader for now, its future is uncertain, and its neighbors will be keeping a close eye on developments.
Let's get more on the situation in Niger with security analyst Kabir Adamu. He's the managing director at Beacon Consulting, a security risk management firm focusing on Nigeria and the Sahel. He joins us from Abuja. Welcome to the show. I want to start by asking for your take on the situation in Niger right now. Is General Chiani capable of maintaining order?
So far, he has demonstrated that capability. In the immediate aftermath of the coup, we did see people coming out on the street, some supporting, some against the coup. And in that process, the secretariat of the ruling party was destroyed. Some of the party members were molested. But then immediately after that, he did, in the night of that, on the 26th, he did impose a curfew, suspend the constitution. So all the rhetorics of the usual practices of coup makers, he implemented that. And then, amazingly, he also got the support of the country's military. And so public order, to a larger extent, has been maintained. So to that extent, yes, it appears that he's forming a government and maintaining public order.
Let's look at the upcoming challenges then. The EU has suspended financial and security support. The US is threatening to do the same. What kind of an impact can that have on the country?
A huge impact. Niger is a severely challenged country. Poverty, economic challenges, security challenges, name them. And it does need development partners, international partners. It needs its neighbors, regional neighbors, to achieve all its developmental aspirations. On the other hand, it has neighbors that sadly are also going through the same circumstances that it's going through. And I'm speaking about Burkina Faso, I'm speaking about Mali. And so it can reach out to those neighbors, even if it's isolated. We've already seen an indication of that in the first speech that General Abdurrahman mentioned. He did indicate Burkina Faso and Mali, so we could likely see him going in that direction. The second advantage that it does have is the possession of uranium. France needs that uranium. So the extent of isolation will be determined by how much France, if its former colonial master, is able to also support the global and regional effort to isolate Niger, just to make it return to democratic rule.
You mentioned the neighboring countries that are facing a similar situation, and now we have this coup. How can that impact the political stability of the region, also in light of international support being withdrawn?
First off, is the terrorism challenge. The Sahel region, where Niger is based, is arguably the terrorism hotspot of the world at the moment. And the two major initiatives that the world is using to deal with that terrorism challenge is the G5 initiative, which used to be headquartered in Mali, and then all of a sudden it's been moved to Niger as a result of the coup in Mali. The second one is the multinational joint task force, which has its headquarters in Chad. Now, for both the two initiatives, Niger is a crucial member of that. So if Niger is isolated and then it can no longer participate in that, it means a vacuum would be created. Secondly, the US has two bases in Niger. When France moved out of Mali, it almost entirely moved its soldiers to Niger. So again, a vacuum may be created as a result of that. The other component is the grievances that all of this will create. It may be exploited by these terrorist groups for recruitment. And so this hotspot that I've mentioned of terrorism in the Sahel is likely to increase, as well as some of the other socioeconomic consequences, including, for instance, if the UN, EU, and several other development partners stop humanitarian assistance. These are all issues that will be used for recruitment by the terrorist groups.
Thank you for that analysis. Security analyst Kabir Adamu.
Thank you for having me.